Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see, I am in my favorite cemetery and I'm just trying to kill some time before I go hang out with my friend, and I thought that I would read you guys some ghost stories while in a cemetery. I would go sit out there, but it just rained and the mosquitoes are really bad. So I hope that this is okay and spooky enough for you. But we've got my iPad, I've got Reddit pulled up. We're gonna read some spooky stories. Also, I'm dyslexic and I have a hard time reading out loud, so just prefacing that out there. Hunting story. When I was 13, I got my first deer at my old hunting camp. The camp is located in central PA and was built by my great-grandfather in the 70s. He passed away in 2018. I went up there every year for things like hunting deer, squirrel, turkey, etc. My family would also go up there in the summer months for recreational activities. It would just be a few people when it was hunting related. So on this trip, it was my dad, uncle, and cousin, who was 3 years older than I. I never really enjoyed hunting until the year prior, and this year I was determined to shoot any deer I saw. On the first day at 9:09 a.m., I shot my deer. It was 15 feet away from me, but I was using a 30-06 with iron sights, so it was actually a good thing. We wait for half an hour and go find it. My dad guts it, we take it out of the woods near the cabin. The place is decently secluded. There are people a few miles away, so it isn't terrible. I go back out in the afternoon and see nothing. So everyone is done for the day. Myself, my cousin, uncle, and I all got a doe. After dropping the deer off to be processed, we prepared for bed. My uncle and I slept on the couches in the living room while my dad and cousin slept in two separate bedrooms. To paint a picture, the main door to get in the cabin opens up to a small kitchen area where there is a wide table that essentially separates the two rooms. I was sleeping on the couches, facing directly away from the door, and my uncle was perpendicular with it. The hallway that leads to the bathroom on the left and two bedrooms on either side is to my left. The gun rack is also a few yards behind me. I awoke at what I think was 2 a.m. because I didn't want to check my phone. What awoke me was the sound of the wooden door opening in the main entrance. Usually you have to get through a very loud screen door before you enter that door. My uncle was still sleeping, so I assumed it was my dad or cousin going outside to pee. We had to use the bathroom outside because the pipes had been emptied in the winter. I heard footsteps coming around the table, stomping a few yards behind my head. I know this wasn't sleep paralysis because I inchwormed my way onto the armrest of the couch and turned my head around to see who it was. What I saw was probably the most terrifying thing of my life so far. I could clearly see a tall, looked over 7 feet, completely black figure wearing a white puffer coat with no other distinguishable features. I turned around and my heart was no longer beating. It more closely resembled a constant sound because of how fast it was beating. I also noticed that during this time my uncle, who was a really bad snorer, was completely devoid of any noise. I laid there debating if I should run into my dad's room and grab my knife or make a dash for the gun rack because I thought that this thing was an intruder. I eventually heard footsteps retreat back into the hallway, presumably going to one of the bedrooms, but I couldn't tell. 5 minutes after I checked my phone, I saw that it was 2:29 a.m. My uncle began to snore normally again, and when he woke up to stoke the fire, I finally felt safe again and fell asleep. I woke up around 4:45 the next day. With all my family awake eating breakfast, I brought it up to them, and no one seemed to have any problems that night. I still don't know what happened, but I do know it was real. That's terrifying. I don't know what I would do if that happened to me. That is absolutely scary, especially because it's so tall. Oh my goodness. This one is titled "My Grandpa Passed Away and the Craziest Thing Happened Right After." My grandpa was always stubborn and refused to go to a doctor for anything besides his dentist. He ended up getting sepsis from an injury on his leg that he didn't tell us about until it was too late and had to stay in the hospital. We had a call from his nurse that said he wasn't doing well and probably wouldn't make it through the night, so we rushed to get my grandma from their house and to the hospital to see him and say our goodbyes. He held on for us and eventually passed about 15 minutes after us being there at 3:04 a.m. We stayed for a couple hours with him, just chatting and sharing funny stories about him. My dad goes down to the parking lot to get my grandma's car pulled up to the entrance and tells us the craziest story. My grandpa could never figure out how to open the back hatch of my grandma's Subaru, even though I personally showed him multiple times. Just push the button on the handle and it'll open right up, I'd say to him. He said it was a PITA. Oh, a PITA. It was a pain in the... My dad told us the minute he started the engine to warm it up, the hatch opens. He thought he accidentally hit the button on the fob, so he jumps out and closes it. He backs out of the parking spot and it opens again. So he stops, gets out, and closes it again. Once again, as he pulls up to the entrance and parks, it opens again. I guess my grandpa finally figured it out after all. Oh, that's a wholesome one to throw in there. That was really sweet. I've had similar experiences with family members who have passed away where they like go and start doing things that they talked about when they were still alive. This one is titled, Whatever It Was, It Sounded Like Our Moms, But It Wasn't. When I was 9, we lived in a remote forested military area. Can't disclose too much for privacy, but yeah, let's just say spotting elephants, deer, and the occasional predator was a normal part of life there. One night, there was a formal event that our parents had to attend, and kids weren't allowed. So it was just me and my friend, let's call him Carl, both 9 years old, and our younger brothers, Sam and Duke, around 5, all made up names. We stayed at my place and decided to watch Shrek. It was late at night, pitch dark outside because of the forest, and eerily quiet. Suddenly, the lights went out for a few minutes, then came back on. We were standing near the window when I heard Carl's mom coming out my nickname from outside. We lived on the 2nd floor. It was strange, raspy voice, not normal, and what made it creepier was that barely anyone knew that nickname. It wasn't something that my neighbors knew. Cindy? Cindy? I asked Carl if he heard it too. He looked freaked out. No, but I heard your mom calling my name. Carl? Carl? We both froze. There's no way our moms were anywhere nearby. They were at a party miles away, and we were alone in the house. The younger kids, Sam and Duke, said they heard voices too, but us being 9 years old, we assumed that they were just copying us or mishearing things as they were just around 5 years old, but we were still terrified. We tried to distract ourselves with the movie and waited for our parents to come home. When they finally did, we told them, but of course, they didn't believe us. They brushed it off as an imagination or our dream. We all eventually moved on. Fast forward 9 years later, Carl and I meet again and we're reminiscing. I brought up that night, and to my shock, he remembered everything clearly. His brother Duke did too. My brother Sam only remembered bits and pieces, but it was enough to confirm that we hadn't imagined it. I still don't know what we heard or why, but it wasn't normal. It wasn't a prank or a dream. We heard each other's moms calling us in eerie voices when they were nowhere near us. To this day, I can't explain it. Oh my gosh. My boyfriend actually has a similar story, which I'm going to share. So a while ago, before I even started dating him, he and his friend were sitting in the living room playing video games, and one of them heard my boyfriend's little brother call from like the next room being like, hey guys, you want to go out on the trampoline? And they were like, not right now, but we'll go out later or something like that. And then they get up and they realize that no one else is home. They knew that his stepmom had gone to town or something like that, but they thought that maybe his little brother was home. And they find that no one's there, so they call her and they're like, hey, like, is Jack home? Are you guys home? And she's like, no, we're an hour away in like the biggest city that's near us. And they started freaking out because they fully heard my boyfriend's little brother calling their name, telling them to come outside when no one else was there. Isn't that so creepy? Those experiences like shake me to my core. He would probably be able to tell it better than I would, but oh, spooks me. This one is titled, Well, I'm Freaked Out. I don't even know how to describe this without sounding insane. Long story short, I lived in an old renovated farmhouse. The same thing keeps happening. I'll be laying in bed and I hear someone walk really slowly from the door to the front of my bed. This is not a random creaking noises, it's a clear foot pattern. The first time it happened, I was trying to go to sleep and I thought it was my boyfriend coming to bed. I could literally hear his footsteps and breathing. I reached over to grab him, but nothing was there and I screamed. The weirdest part is that it's like my mind watched this man walk in, clear as day. I can have an image of him. Older man, overalls, really heavy set. Think along the lines of like a redneck grandpa. When this happens, I know for a fact that I'm awake, so it's not something that's like sleep paralysis. Please tell me this has happened to someone else besides me. I know it sounds insane. That, I've heard many stories of stuff like that happening. I think I'm going to share some of my own paranormal stories after this, but I have had, and I've heard many similar stories to that one, where you can hear something kind of like walking or like a rhythmic, like a foot pattern. So I have a story of the house that I currently live in. Me and my boyfriend have lived in it for like 6 years now. Sorry, I'm hearing like a weird ringing noise. Anyways, Me and my boyfriend have lived in our house for about 5 or 6 years now, and this happened probably within the first year of us living there. I started hearing what sounded like a really big drop of water hitting the floor in the hallway, or like someone throwing, like, you know those little rubber bouncy balls, throwing it down but not letting it bounce. Like if it'd go down, you'd hear it hit the floor and then like catch it again, kind of thing. And I was like, what the heck is going on? My cats weren't walking around. They were both in the room with me. Or no, one was in the room with me, one was in the bathroom doorway, because they heard the sound too. They were watching the sound. And my boyfriend, I think, was in the other room, like gaming or something. He wasn't like up and about doing something. And I have a video of it, but I don't know where it is. I've looked for it recently, but I don't know where it is. I might have lost it. But this sound is going up and down my hallway. It sounds like water dropping from the ceiling, or someone bouncing a little rubber ball down and up my hallway. And it's happening for like a whole minute. It's like moving down and then back up and then down and then back up. And there's no water dripping from the ceiling. I checked everywhere. There's nothing. The only thing I could think of it maybe being is underneath all the flooring in my house is concrete, because I live in a basement. And so I was like, maybe like the glue from the flooring is coming undone, but it was like rhythmic. It was like down and back up like footprints. Like, it was so freaky. I hardly slept that night. There was another time where this has actually happened to me multiple times in multiple different houses and hotel rooms and stuff, where I will be laying in bed and I'm one of those people that sleeps on my side and then my legs are like bent, and I will feel someone sit like in the crook of my knees. And it happened to me a few weeks ago, clear as day. I felt someone sit down on the bed beside me, it like against my legs. It freaked me out. It wasn't my cats. I like sat up to check, and even as I sat up to check, I still felt them there. It freaked me out so bad. What other experiences do I have? Oh, here, just now, like an hour ago, I was sitting here and I was sending a voice memo to my friend, and I saw a black figure duck, like in the rearview mirror or in the side mirror, duck behind my truck, like the tailgate. And I know there's nothing there because I got out and checked. That freaked me out. What other experiences do I have? Oh, there's a family that haunts my house. I've talked about this, maybe not on my channel, but on my shared channel with Sarah and in like other videos and stuff like that. I've talked about this a lot. There's a family that haunts my house. So I haven't seen them in a while, now that I think about it, but there's a family. There's a husband, a wife, a son, and a daughter. So that first story I said of like the ball bouncing or like the water drops, I believe was the son. This whole family is pretty young. Like, the kids are younger than 10. And so when I first moved in, at the end of the hallway, not like our bedroom is like the end of the hallway on one end, and then the other end is like a corner, and then my kitchen's over here. So like on the kitchen corner, I saw the father just standing there. And whenever I see him, he's usually just standing there. He's not really a threat. None of them in my house are really a threat. They've never really done anything. But he is like really average. He's probably like 6'1", 6'2". He's got brown hair. He's kind of like medium build. Literally, when I see him, I think of my own dad, which is like, again, like average brown hair, blue-eyed white guy. But he is pretty chill. I don't have like any name for him. I think it starts with a B though. And then there's a daughter, which I've only seen once or twice. And the time that stands out to me the most is when I was, I think I was in my kitchen, or I was like walking through my house or something. And in my kitchen, well, every room in my house has huge windows, like these huge square windows. And the blinds were open, so like I could see outside clearly. And as I was walking, I saw a girl probably 5 or 6 years old in a little white frilly dress run across my front yard with dark brown hair. This is important, dark brown hair. At the time, so my landlords have kids, their kids now are like, one's a teenager, one's like 11 or something like that. But at the time, she was probably 6 or 7. So I was like, oh, maybe it's her, maybe it's their daughter. But she has like bleach blonde hair. Like, she's really bright blonde hair. And this girl that I saw that ran across was like dark brown hair. So, and like, it was, I've never seen her again since. So, and the way she was running, like, she was running basically into the forest that's beside my house. So there was no reason for her to like be going over there. And then the wife, so me and my boyfriend, I was sitting in his lap and we were outside with a bunch of friends, and I saw out of the corner of my eye on the other side of my yard a woman standing there, and she was in a wedding dress, sort of like a white, like a really nice white dress. And she also, the thing is, I don't ever really see faces, but I see everything else. Same within my dreams, I don't usually ever see faces, but if it's like people I know, I just know that it's them. But yeah, she was just standing there like watching us, and eventually she left. Like, I just, it's so weird. I feel fine, I feel pretty safe in my house. There's been a few times where I've been scared, but I also live at a crossroads, which, if you don't know, crossroads are huge for energy centers or like portals, because it's like where a road intersects. So there's just lots of energy going on, obviously humans coming and going. I live at the apex of an intersection, so it's a 3-way intersection, and then my house is like right at the top of it. Freaky. What else is there? There's so many spiritual and like ghost experiences that I've had that I'm trying to think of. Oh, this one family that I babysit for, I was at their house and I told them about this, but they, like, I was babysitting, and I put both of the kids to sleep, and I was just sitting there in silence. I didn't want to wake them up like by playing the TV or anything, because their rooms are like right beside the living room. So I was just sitting in silence. I was just scrolling on my phone, which is like fine. I was like fine with it. And I go downstairs to get something from my bag, which is sitting by the front door, and I hear a door downstairs open. Like, clear as day, you hear the door open. Like, not the front door, but just one of the doors that's down there. And I freaked out. I was like, maybe it's one of their cats, because they have 2 cats. One of them is always hiding, and one of them was like out in the open. So I was like, maybe it's the one that was hiding. But like, from what I remember, because we were playing down there, all of the doors were already open, and like there was no, I don't know, it was just weird. So I ran back upstairs, and then I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I was like, it's fine, whatever, I'm just gonna brush it off. And I went to the kitchen, and I was like, I'm just gonna put the dishes away, I'm gonna do the dishes, which is what I do every time I babysit for anyone. I always like do their dishes and clean their house for them. So I was just like, I'm just gonna put the dishes away. And I actually set my phone up and like was recording myself, because I kept hearing things. I kept hearing footsteps coming down the hallway. I kept hearing like voices, like a woman's voice, like talking and singing. Oh, I'm getting like freaked out thinking about this. And then I don't think I have the videos. I think I deleted them now. But I hear, and even in the video you can't hear it, I hear clear as day someone run up the stairs. So like from the front door, they ran up the stairs, and I freaked out. And I also heard, right before that happened, like a bell, like, you know, a hotel lobby bell, like the one on the desk, like one of those. Not loud enough where like the girls would have woken up and heard all this, but it was loud enough for me to hear it. And again, because I don't advertise it, but I say that I'm psychic and like I pick up on these things. Maybe it was like me psychically hearing them, I don't know, but it freaked me out. I heard footsteps clear as day run up the stairs, and it wasn't cats. I have 2 cats myself. I know what it sounds like when cats run up and down stairs. It was not cats, it was human footsteps, like one at a time on the stairs. And then I'm like, okay, dude, like I was like, it's fine, just like ignore it. Like I was like, you know what, I'm just here to babysit. I can understand if you don't like me. I'm like in your space. I'm so sorry, you know. I was like, it's okay, like I'm just here for a little bit, I'll leave soon. And then I go to the bathroom, which is in between the 2 bedrooms. There's a bathroom, and like the girls, and I hear clear as day, like right in front of me, a woman humming, and it goes I literally, good thing I was in the bathroom because I almost shit myself. Like, that was like the closest I've ever heard something. It scared the crap out of me. And I immediately got up and I checked each bedroom to make sure the girls were asleep. Both of them knocked out. Neither of them were talking in their sleep. One of them, the one that I asked them after, said had a probability of talking in her sleep, was like on the far side of her room, so like too far away from the bathroom for me to have heard it if she was like talking. It was like right in front of me. And then the other one, she was knocked out cold. To this day, I don't know what it was. It scared the crap out of me. I cannot put it into words. I can't. So there's a few ghost stories for you while I'm sitting in a cemetery. I think I'm gonna edit and upload this video right away, honestly, because I still have an hour to kill. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want me to do more like reading spooky stories on Reddit things, let me know, because I love doing them. They're so much fun. I just never do them. Or I could like react to scary TikToks and stuff like that. But yeah, if you like this video, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. Don't forget to subscribe or like or comment because it really helps me out. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.